Oh, having video issues or something. Oh, here we go. Hey, welcome. Let me figure out what's going on with my video. I don't know what in the world's going on. But for now, we can keep this the way it is. As everybody files in, obviously welcome. Hello to everybody that's decided to join us. My name's Tyler Clary. I work with Fitter Faster Tour. I'm the director of sales and marketing, and we've got an awesome show lined up for you today. It's actually less of a show, more of an open discussion between a couple of really interesting folks. We have a lot going on today. We also have another show later on today at 2:00. That's going to be with Tucker Dupree and Kim Vandenberg. It's called How to Deal with Adversity. Make sure you check that out if you're not already registered. While everybody files in, give us a shout out in chat and let us know where you're from and what your favorite stroke is. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our presenters. We've got Brett Hawke. He's down here on the right. He just gave us the peace sign. He's a two-time Olympic swimmer from Australia and a three-time Olympic coach, and he's actually the director of clinic development with Fitter Faster Tour. We've also got Brent Hayden, who's a Canadian Olympian. He's actually a three-time Canadian Olympian, excuse me. He won the Olympic bronze medal in London. He's a world champion, and he's a six-time Canadian record holder. He actually retired about 7 years ago. About 8 years ago, and he was retired for 7 years, and he's made his comeback for Tokyo, which is kind of interesting and one of the reasons why we're talking today. We also have Kierra Smith, who's a 2016 Olympic finalist. She's a 2015 Pan Am Games champion, 2015 NCAA champion, and she's a 2019 World Championships medalist. She's currently training out of Kelowna, British Columbia, and she was formerly training in Toronto and Minneapolis earlier this year. So say hello, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
So I guess we'll just kind of get into it. And it's a good question, Ginger. We're gonna get talking about some of that stuff. And thankfully, we don't have a ton of people here, so we probably don't even have to turn off chat, which is great. But I guess, Brett, let's kick things off and just start talking about kind of what's going on in the sport of swimming right now, and let's address some of the news that we've been seeing.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Most people are stuck at home, and I thought we would start this chat off with kind of a social media craze that's been going on right now because everybody is stuck at home, just like us. And I am in Auburn, Alabama right now. Tyler, where are you at?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Brent?
New Westminster, BC, British Columbia.
And Kierra?
Kelowna, British Columbia.
All right. So we're all kind of all over the world a little bit. But I thought we'd start off with one of those fun challenges that's going around on Instagram where everybody's just dropping to the floor and doing push-ups. So let's all get down here and let's give everybody 10 push-ups. We can all join in together, everybody that's watching at home.
Oh, God. Where do I do this?
Yeah, I didn't prep.
I'm going for it.
My floor is a mess.
Go in here.
1,
I'm
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, yeah.
9, 10.
All right. There we go. You just did push-ups with 4 Olympians. Nice work. I love it.
Did everybody do that?
Yeah.
I'm about to show them a poll.
I think let's check
ready
out.
to go now.
Did them. Yeah, I'm pumped up now. Whew. All right, that's a good way to kick us off. So, all right, guys, we got the news yesterday that the Olympics are being postponed. And what's your initial reactions? Let's start with Kierra.
My initial reaction was, it's really tough news to hear. It was painful a bit, but then just relief, really, that we could focus on staying home with family. It was so difficult and stressful, really trying to train. I have a 12.5 meter private pool right now, and just like biking and doing gym workout or like garage workouts. And I mean, it was a little bit stressful thinking that we have coming up Olympic trials and Olympics. So having that pressure taken off and just being able to walk the dog with my parents and just kind of stay together instead of trying to go out and stay fit and have that pressure off is a huge relief.
Yeah, I agree. Brent, what was your first kind of reactions?
Pretty much the same as Kieran. I think if the more athletes you talk to, I think the more you're going to realize that we've all kind of felt sort of the same way, that whole kind of cloud of the unknown that has sort of been weighing over us is finally lifted. So like we were all pretty much at the point where we're predicting that it's going to be postponed. First, there's like sort of that thought of, disappointment that it'd be postponed. And then we started thinking that, you know what, it's for the greater good. There's more important things to worry about than sport right now. And that's making sure everyone's doing what they can to stay home and just stay healthy. So when Canada finally announced that they were going to not send athletes to Tokyo if it was being held this summer, like I was really, really proud of Canada taking that stand, making that decision for us, because, now, like as Kierra said, we can just focus on what we need to be focusing on. And that's what everybody should be doing right now. That's just figuring out how to, one, practice safe social distancing, isolating, taking care of your health, anything you can do right now just to make sure this virus goes away. Then when that's gone, we can all get back to our normal lives and we can focus on Tokyo in 2021.
Yeah. Tyler, you're a previous Olympic champion. How would you feel if you're in the situation right now, preparing for that chance to win your first Olympic gold medal?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it would be hard. Like I definitely feel for a lot of the athletes, because, there's an untold number of hours that go into these types of competitions, and the amount of pain, sweat, and tears that go into it too just can't be understated. There's a lot of sacrifice. So I understand that there are a lot of athletes that are in a really tough spot. And also, there's a big financial implication for this too. Obviously what's being talked about on the news are all of the workers that are affected by this, but there isn't a whole lot of talk going on about the financial implications for a lot of the athletes out there that are being affected by this. Like, our sponsors going to stay on board? Are they going to want to keep people on for a full year if it actually gets postponed a full year? If it only gets postponed 3 or 4 months, are we actually going to be able to have it in 3 to 4 months? So there's just so much uncertainty, and I would have a hard time dealing with it. But kind of to what Brent said, it's one of those things where it's like what we do in many ways is a passion. It's a lifetime pursuit, but a lot of it is a luxury, and when it comes down to it, the overall health of our athletes and the rest of the world, I think takes the cake there. And that's what's more important.
Yeah, for sure. Kierra, were you in a situation where you were planning on swimming beyond these Olympics? Are you looking beyond this year and now maybe next year? Are you looking towards kind of Paris in 24?
I was, yeah. I'm not injured. I like the sport. I am still competitive. Every reason was telling me that I should keep going. I was just going to take, like right now, all my decisions have been Olympic focused and swimming focused. And I moved to Toronto because I wanted to focus on the Olympics. And then I moved to Minneapolis because I was focused on the Olympics. And every single decision I've made over the past 4 years has just been swimming driven. And I was kind of going to shift that and make more choices because of my personal life, and then keep swimming because I loved it, and just try and like maintain that and enjoy it. And it is a luxury. And now it's another year, which again, is a luxury that, we're training for something at such a high level, but it changes the plans a bit, right? Now we have to think, I'm kind of training in 3 different places, and I have to think where I want to be for the next year. And it affects a lot of people in my life. And it's like the Olympic year is a year to be selfish, but now it's 2 years that I have to be a little bit selfish. And that's tough on the people supporting us. And yeah, there's a lot of different variables to think about right now. But yeah, I was definitely planning on staying in the water. It's just now it's going to look a little bit different.
Yeah. Brent, the word uncertainty comes up a lot. What are ways that you deal with uncertainty?
My previous swimming career, I had a lot of obstacles that I had to overcome. So for example, when I was 2 weeks before the London Games, I suffered one of my major chronic back spasms at staging camp, and I couldn't walk for 4 days. So I was actually thinking just 2 weeks before those games that there was a good chance I wasn't even going to be able to compete. So kind of using or sort of reflecting back on that story or that lesson right now, and just realizing that there are only so many things that you can control. So you have to focus on that, and the things that you can't control, you just have to learn how to adapt with whatever information or adapt to the information as it comes in. So
hey, everybody, sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna have to do something. We're having some issues with the platform. Bear with me for just a second.
No problem, man.
All right, we're back.
Okay, turn everything back on.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Brent, Kierra, you're gonna have to turn your audio and video back on. I'm not sure what happened, but just had to hit the panic and get everything.
There we go.
Everybody,
thanks for the reminder.
back.
Just dealing with adversity right there, Tyler.
Dealing with adversity. That's right. So obviously nothing's perfect, but sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
Yeah. I guess the same thing in a more of a condensed or nutshell version. Control what you can and adapt to what you can't. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was retired for 7 years. I didn't get in the pool like at all during that time, or at least in 7 years, I can count on my fingers how many times I actually got in the pool. I mean, I was doing my swim camps, but those aren't workouts. Those are teaching. And I was able to come back and get to my Olympic A qualifying time in only about 6 months of training, which I did a few weeks ago in Des Moines.
Wow.
21:97, my fourth fastest time ever. 2 of them were with a full body suit, and I wasn't shaved or tapered for it. So I think just time off away from the pool isn't going to affect you as much as you think it might affect you, as long as you're taking care of your health, you're doing anything you can just to keep your body moving, right? Don't get stuck sitting on the couch, right? Do push-up challenges, any kind of like home workouts, right? There's tons of them out there. I'm even putting one together now that I'm going to try to get out there to help people with what I've learned in my time, right? So there are tons of other things you can be doing right now to take care of your health. So when you get back in the pool, your muscle memory will kick in, and you'll be right back where you left off in no time.
Yeah, and I want to actually say, I don't know how much of that workout that you have, but together. But I think it'd be good in a little while to kind of go over some of that stuff, because a lot of the people that we've been hearing from are really hungry for workouts, and having a workout coming directly from a current Olympian would be huge. So we'll get to that later.
Well, I know Brent has built some of his own equipment. Can you give us a little demonstration of some of the equipment you put together?
Yeah, so we got these dumbbells I made. These are just 2-ply. I'm going to make some 3-ply, which will be a little heavier, right?
You got to work up to the 3-ply.
Some curls, some shoulder press, right? Delt raises, right? So I posted a video on my Instagram showing how to use these. You can even put these down and do push-ups on them. Obviously, the ends, these are awesome. They just pop right off, so they're also good for travel. And if you're ever in a pinch, if you're ever caught out in the woods somewhere and you need to go, well, you got your right here. It also works as a good a sweat towel too. So as soon as you're done your workout, just rip off a piece and just wipe. It's all good, man. These things are great. I should patent these.
The only problem with those, they're expensive right now. They're probably worth about $2,000.
Oh yeah, no, I got these before the rush, so yeah, no, we're all good. And I just want to make sure everyone knows there was no hoarding done to make these. Okay, I am not a toilet paper hoarder. In fact, we ran out and we had to. We're on or almost ran out. We were on a 3-day hunt trying to finally find some, but we're all good now.
Yeah, it's a strange phenomenon.
It is a very strange phenomenon.
Hey, Kierra, so listen, I wanted to ask you, like, we're all human, and I'm an Olympic athlete. We all are here, right? But not everybody at home watching are Olympic athletes. But I've had moments where in the past 4 or 5 days where I've just felt not defeated, not a sense of depression, but there's certainly times where it's hard to get off the couch, or you might be I'm snacking on these things. I got to tell you, this is my weakness right here. Okay, I just find myself eating 10 of these instead of 2. Just little moments of weakness and things like that. Is there any of that creeping in with you?
It's definitely a little bit more difficult when there's not a very clear end goal. There's not a July Olympics or an April Olympic trials. There's going to be an Olympics in the future. And it's really hard not having those like known things to focus on when if I want to have a soda or, stay up late watching TV or something. And it's just like, well, like there's probably going to be an Olympics soon. Like that's a lot more difficult to stay disciplined with. But I've been super lucky that my club coach, the club shut down, but he's coming to the 12-meter pool that I'm at, and he's bringing the cord, and we're still like working out for an hour every day. So I'm still in contact with the water, and I think that's been helping me a lot. But also just like finding those online workouts and going to the gym with my dad and my mom, and I don't know, like doing things like the push-up challenge, or just like doing a small weight circuit with them. And it's a smaller community, but it still feels like they're my team right now, right? And yeah, it's ups and downs, and you just have to remember it's been good being on things like this where you can see other athletes and just remember that everyone is going through the same thing. Even like beyond swimming, like every single athlete's going through the same thing right now, and that's been helping me a ton.
Yeah, nice. Brent, who's that beautiful person you got with you there?
Oh, this is Chewbacca. My mini Wookiee. He just came in. He came and sat at my feet, so I just had to pull him up.
How old is he?
He just turned 6 the other day.
Yeah.
This guy we actually found in a kill shelter in Korea. He was just a puppy. So we weren't there. My wife's friend was there, and she posted like a plea. Someone please adopt this dog because they're gonna kill him. And we're just like, I don't want a dog, but I can't say no to that face. So best decision we ever made.
How'd you get a dog from Korea?
I shipped him cargo.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, he wants down now. Do you? Chewy, you want down?
How long was the process between when you made the decision to when you actually got him?
It was like, 2 weeks or so before we got Chewy? Well, how long was the process? It was like about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, because once you adopt them, they have to go into quarantine, right? Or to make sure that they don't have any bugs, right? For like, how long was it? It was about 2 weeks or something.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, but then right after that, he was just flown over, and I picked him up at the airport.
Yeah.
All in all, it was cheaper than adopting or getting a dog from a breeder here. It was like, I think like the adoption fee, the flight, all the shots and everything like that was like less than $900.
Well, and aside from the cost, one of the things that's kind of interesting about adopting a dog is oftentimes they're not purebred, and that's actually much better for the dog. Oftentimes, a lot of the purebred dogs have genetic issues, and when you get, for lack of a better term, a mutt, which is a mixed breed, a lot of the better genetics come through, so you end up having a healthier, longer living dog. So that's good on you.
Yeah, he's a mix. He's a cross between a Pomeranian and a Sheltie. So they're actually called Poshies.
Oh wow!
How perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, sorry, I got distracted with with my dog.
No, it's all good. So Kierra, one of the questions that we went over yesterday, is already out of date, and I think that kind of outlines how dynamic all of the situation is in the world right now. Walk us through kind of like the last 30 to 45 days in terms of your mindset, your preparation, how you've been handling that, and maybe give us an update like from your inside sources as to what's going on.
Oh, I have no inside sources, but I can let you know what's going on in my head. So I was on January 17th, I thought it would be best for me to move back to my college team in Minnesota and train with my college coach, Kelly, just for a bit of familiarity. I felt like I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be with my swimming. It was like, just like something was missing, and I couldn't put it together. And so I wanted to take a step back to something familiar to hopefully take a few steps ahead. And that was a really, really tough decision to leave a training group that I'd been with and that I was planning to go through the Olympics with, and a group that I love. And it was like such a good situation. So to leave was really, really difficult, but I did it. And I went to Minneapolis where my fiance lives and her family lives and my college team is. And so it was an easy transition after I made that decision. And after that was like in my head, like, this is what we're doing, then just went forward with that. And everybody was so supportive and so helpful, which made that transition easy. So now I'm in Minneapolis, and obviously it's nerve-wracking making a move 2 months out of Olympic trials. And so I got back in the pool with the college team. Our trials started the day after men's NCAAs, I think, or my race was the day after men's NCAAs. It was very close. So I was kind of going with their schedule after Big Tens and training with Kelly. And we went to Des Moines, Iowa, and I swam okay. I still had a lot of work to do. But then the next week, things got a little rocky, right? And NCAAs were canceled on the Thursday. And so my coach, Kelly, it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but he said I should probably get home to Canada and I should probably go be with family instead of going straight to Toronto because we still had Olympic trials. And so I didn't want to come out west and then have to go out east just because it's extra travel, but he thought it'd be best just in case if like we did go into lockdown or something that I was with my family instead of alone in Toronto. So I came to Kelowna the next day on Friday, and that was when we got the email that Olympic trials were going to be postponed. And I was in the Calgary airport, so I was just on a layover, and I was like, what do I do now? Like I didn't know, and there's no plan now, right? I don't have like a coach that I've been with for the whole year. I don't have teammates. I'm just like in the Calgary airport. I was like, oh no. And so I land and I went to the pool and I swam, and it was one of the most difficult swims, maybe because I was tired or I hadn't eaten properly on a travel day or because of all the news that was happening, but it was such a tough swim to get through mentally. And I came back on the Saturday and I swam again, and I was just getting ready for that weekend reset. And yeah, then our pool shut down Monday and the club shut down Monday. And then the next day our pool across the water shut down. So then I moved to the private pool, and yeah, it's then I've just been training in 12.5 meters. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, like in a 12.5 meter pool, you can't do much except like swimming with a cord on or working on like technique for 12.5 meters, not pushing off the wall. And that's really where I started to get a little bit more comfortable. I realized like I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. Everybody's in the same situation. And that's just kind of when I just like let it go. I was just trying to do the best that I could in the situation and trying to keep a good mindset and remember that what's important now is sleeping right, eating right, staying moving, and just trying to stay in that right headspace. And then we found out that the COC was not going to send us if they had the Olympics in the summer, which, yeah, I don't know how you really react to that. I was proud to be from a country that thought of us as like people first and athletes second. That was very comforting, and I'm so proud of that. And then like from an athletic standpoint, I just kind of had to let that go and just remember that right now there's so many more important things to worry about right now. And yeah, now Olympics are postponed. And so really just going with it, trying to stay in shape and in a good headspace and connecting with other athletes and making sure that they're okay and I'm okay and my old teammates are okay. And I think everyone's doing okay.
Yeah.
No, those are all great points. And while you were speaking, I put up a poll just to kind of hear from the crowd. And the question was, do you agree with the decision to postpone the 2020 Olympic Games? And 97% of the people that responded said yes. And I think that's a comfort, because that means that there's a lot of support in what's going on, and kind of everybody's on the same in the same train of thought. And I think that's great. There's another. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a little comment about that. I was like no one's ever wished that we would ever be canceling or postponing an Olympic Games. Like, we've seen it before, or most of us probably before our lifetimes. With boycotts in Moscow and missed Olympics from world wars and things like that. And no one ever wants this to happen, but so like you could almost imagine that this is probably like the first time where people actually wanted this. Now I saw a couple of comments over here that this whole virus thing might be gone by then. It can still go on, but the point is not necessarily that the virus will be gone by then or not. Like we're hoping it is, obviously. But like as just listening to me and Kierra talk right now, like we're in the same boat as I think the majority of the athletes around the world. Like we can't train right now, so we're not going to be in Olympic shape. Some athletes are able to do more in some places than in others. So even if we all did go, the playing field is not going to be level, right? And that's really the spirit of the Olympic Games, is making sure is everyone's on the same field of play, like it's a fair level playing field, right? So in that spirit, we want to make sure everybody has the equal chance to get up there and do their lifetime performance. So that's my feeling. That's why it should be postponed.
Well, and that's such a good point, because not everybody's going to have the same, like let's say this thing disappears tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Or let's say all of a sudden that the curves on the number of infected and the people that are unfortunately passing from this virus is starting to at least slow down. It's going to be up to all the local municipalities and governing bodies to make the decision on whether or not they want to start opening pools. So unless there was a way to just flip a light switch on and all of a sudden everybody's able to go back and train, that might change things a little bit, but that's not the reality that we live in. So that's kind of what I think you're getting at, is like, it's got to be a level playing field. And what's interesting about our sport is that, I say something sometimes at the clinics that I do. It's like a lot of people boil my career down to one swim that lasted less than 2 minutes. And we don't, we're a very, outside of the swimming sphere, we're a very unpopular sport. I mean, we're one of the most popular sports at the Olympics every single year, but outside of the Olympics, it's not the same. So to take away, or to I guess not only take away that opportunity, but to put it in a position where someone might not be able to prepare to the level that they may have wanted for that one opportunity that they might get on the biggest stage in the history of swimming, that's a tough thing. So, I totally agree with the decision to postpone it, as painful as it is. Like we said earlier, it's just, what does this mean, for the future? One of the questions that I saw, and we can maybe address this in a little bit, is, do you think this is going to have an effect on the next Olympics? Do you think it's going to have an effect on several Olympics after this one? Do you think it's going to have an effect on the World Championships? Like, what do we think are going to be the lasting effects of this?
Yeah, I think the Olympics for Paris will probably still go in 2024, because it'll be a 5-year break since Rio. So I think they'll want to try to sort of average it out to make sure it's still every 4 years. So get it back on track and then go every 4 from then. But yeah, World Championships, who knows what they're going to have to do with that. Maybe they'll do it earlier in the year, or maybe they'll host it right after the Olympics, or the other, the C answer is you would just cancel it all together. Like I think right now we'll just have to wait and see what they decide to do with that. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say too, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as potential Olympic athletes of the near future, and it's easy for us to say, oh, wow, how does this affect me, right? Like as an athlete, but we're not on the front lines of this disease right now. I'm reading stories about Italy, let's say, where they're making some really tough choices on who lives and who dies and things like that. And it's, I can't imagine being in that situation and then, hearing people worry about whether they're going to swim at the Olympics or not. I think, those doctors and nurses and the people on the front line must be thinking like, guys, like, come over here and check this out for a minute. It's pretty bad, right? So, and then I read a story of past Olympic champion Cameron Vandenberg actually, dealing with the coronavirus and reading his account of what was going on. And, as an asthmatic, I certainly live in fear of potentially getting something like that, because I don't know how my body would respond to that. it's pretty bad. And to think that this thing started just in November and we're here now and it's affected this many people in the world. We do have to take this seriously, and we do have to quarantine, and we do have to stay inside, and we do have to do everything we can to stop the spread of this thing. And that's the bottom line, really.
Yeah, like even in Canada here, we saw a huge spike in the number of confirmed cases yesterday. So like it's getting scary when you look at the graph. Like we're on the same trajectory as Italy was on right now. We're just in the earlier stage. But yeah, yesterday was a huge spike. So it's real, right? No one is basically like no one is safe no matter where you are right now, especially with like how far like people can travel. Like, you know, airplanes are still in the air, public transits are still running, and like, yeah, it's a scary time right now.
Well, and you bring up, it's a very scary time, and I think a lot of countries out there that are sort of in the same, I guess, time frame as North America. We're all going to see a lot of the same things because this, like I've heard a lot of people say, oh, this virus is only got a 1.5% to 2% mortality rate, and that sounds really low, right? But when you scale it out to millions and hundreds of millions of people, like that's a big deal. But what's I think especially worrisome about it is that it's so unbelievably contagious that there are probably way more cases out there that we just don't know about. Like, for example, one of my best friends just this past Saturday called me in the morning. I had my bachelor party about almost 2 weeks ago now. And he called me Saturday after we had all gotten back home and said, hey, I want to let you know that I've actually tested positive. And that was a big deal, and then I started making phone calls to all of the people that were there, seeing how they were feeling. My dad actually had a fever for a couple of days after that, and he's fine now, thankfully. But I think the point is that, there are a lot of people out there that are either asymptomatic, and there are a lot of people that haven't gotten tested or don't have the access to test. So, probably in North America for the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a pretty high spike as we have the ability to go and get tested, and we know the actual extent of the problem. So I think, I watched a live cast that my fiance had showed me last night about, it was with somebody who works with BARDA. It's the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Association. And he was saying that, a lot of people are walking around thinking that everybody else is positive around them and they're just trying to stay away. But the best way to approach this time right now, I think, is to, in agreement with him, is to consider yourself positive. Assume that you have it. And that's going to make you much more aware of the people that you're around, the things that you're touching, whether or not you're covering your mouth when you're coughing or sneezing, whether or not you're washing your hands, a couple of times a day. But at the same time, not to be a fear monger, but at the same time, he had said like a lot of this stuff has to be taken in moderation. So like we can't be washing our hands 12 times a day because that's going to cause cracking, and then you're going to be more susceptible to get the disease. Like you don't want to be going out and hoarding all of the toilet paper and all of the food, because like even in
Brent.
some of the
Brent.
What? No, come on.
That's not hoarding. That's just creativity. But if you look at Italy, who's probably, and they have historically, they have one of the oldest populations in the world, so they're going to be hit hard by this, and we're already seeing that. But even in that country, we're noticing that the grocery stores are open and people are able to go and get groceries and get supplies for the most part. So it's a lot of awareness and stuff like that, but also taking things with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me say this. Let me move it to something in a different direction, that we can get back to things that we love. But we all work for the company that brings this presentation together today, Fitter and Faster. And so, Kierra, why did you sign up for clinics? Why do you love being part of the clinics? And what do you think the kids can actually get out of coming to clinics?
Yeah, so I started doing clinics in 2017, and Tyler was the first clinician I worked with, and he kind of taught me what to do and how it ran. And it incredible watching how excited the kids were to learn from him, and just even I like learned from him. And so that's kind of been like a goal of mine, is just to do as many as I can, give back as much as I can. When I was 12, I went to Vancouver for a swim meet, and Anime Pierce was there. And she was a Canadian world record holder in the 200 breaststroke, which was my best event. If you can have a best event as a 12-year-old, but it was what I thought was my best event. And she took the time to talk to me, and she asked me what my splits were. And I was like, can you watch my race? And she did. And then she talked to me about it after. It meant so much to me. And I wrote down everything that she said when I got home. And it made a big difference to be able to meet Anime. And she's a real person who lives in BC, who knows my name now. Like, she took the time to like acknowledge me. And it's not someone in like Russia or China or like someone very far away who's doing these great things. It's someone who is real. Like, I could see them and talk to them. And it just made it, like, having big goals way more realistic. And if I can give back in any way like that, that's so exciting to me. That's what I want to do. And it made such a big difference to me as a kid that if I can be that person, that's absolutely my goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that answer. Brent, do you have anything different to add there?
Yeah, I remember the first time David Arluck came and spoke to me about the Fitter and Faster. It was actually 2011 at the World Championships in Shanghai. We actually sat down in a hotel lobby, and he was telling me about his ideas. But then, I retired from swimming in 2012. So I figured, I was pretty much gone. Like, I was out of the swimming community, so to speak. But then it was last spring or so. Brett, you reached out to me to get me down to Arizona with Roland Schoeman to do that start and turn clinic there. And is it Anthem? I think it was the town was called.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the first time I had been in a pool with another world-class athlete since 2012. And I guess you could almost say that doing that camp, it almost kind of planted that first seed in me that started thinking about maybe doing a comeback again, because it was so much fun getting in the water and being around all these younger athletes who were so excited to learn from you and ask you questions. As Kierra was saying, like it's and especially like even the parents too were like so excited, and they were just so happy that their kids were getting that opportunity. Like when I was young, we never had opportunities to work with athletes like that. We never had these big athletes come in and do clinics. Like the closest I ever got as a young athlete or young swimmer. First off, I was in summer club for 10 years. I was a summer club swimmer until I was 15 or almost 15 years old. So there was a swimmer from my hometown in Mission. That's my mug. So Mission, British Columbia, who was the Canadian record holder in the 50-meter freestyle at the time. My town didn't have a year-round club. Like, it was only a summer club town. So the fact that he was able to go on and get the Canadian record was something I looked up to. And one day he came to one of our club dinners, and he signed Team Canada used to have this thing with frisbee, so he signed one of the Team Canada frisbees. He wrote on it, to Brent, go for gold, signed his name on it, and I still have that frisbee. It was just that kind of an interaction was enough to kind of spark belief that this guy came from this small town that doesn't even have a club that trains year round, and went on to become the fastest swimmer in Canada. Then maybe I could do it too. And I followed his footsteps. I went from my summer club team, the Mission Marlins, to the Chilliwack Spartans, which was the team that he trained for, which was an hour away. And then on to UBC. He went to SFU, but I went to UBC, and within a couple of years, I got my first Canadian record in the 100, and then later on I actually got that 50 free Canadian record. His had already been broken, but it was kind of cool that I met him. He was a Canadian record holder at the time. Then he inspired me to go on and become the the 50 free Canadian record holder as well. So I think about that when I do these clinics, that, I mean, they're going to learn a lot of skills, obviously. But I think you just kind of, you inspire this belief in people, because they realize that you are just a human. You're just a person, just like them. And you might have been that goofy, awkward kid at some point, just like they are as well. So
yeah. Well, just quickly, for those of you that don't know, Brent and I actually have a history together.
Hey, I got hair.
That's what? The 2006 Commonwealth Games. Brent had hair, and actually I had hair then too.
Yeah.
But in the middle, that's Roland Schumann, the man that you just mentioned doing the clinic with. So it's funny how things come full circle in life. You end up, you start competing against each other. I'm from Australia. Roland's from South Africa. You're from Canada. Here we are. We don't really know each other that well, but we're competing against each other. And now,
we're the Commonwealth Games. So
Commonwealth Games.
That's all the countries that were part of the British Commonwealth.
Look how beautiful Brent Hayden is back then.
Oh, that hair, man.
Young man.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know, man.
Classic. But,
no, and you guys made some good points, and I remember that first clinic that we did together, Kierra, and Brent, you and I haven't had the pleasure yet, but one thing I want to hit on again is that when we were young, and I think this goes for all four of us, there wasn't a whole lot of access, not only to the knowledge that we're able to give, which actually, interestingly enough, I hear from coaches all the time that what we coach or what we teach in our clinics isn't vastly different from what they're already teaching. If anything, we come in and we validate what they've been saying the whole time, right? But also, just being able to get in front of them, and Brent, just like you said, show them that we're human. I remember when I was really, really young, I believe I was 11 years old, and I had the opportunity to go to the Sydney Games in 2000. And, I was there. It was cool. I didn't really understand what was going on because I was up in the stands and kind of far away from everything. But my mom goes, "Tyler, there's Chad Carvin." And I knew exactly who that was because he's a Southern California guy, 400 IMer, generally an awesome dude. And I went and took a picture with him. I still have it to this day. And it was funny because years later, I mean, literally 12 or 13 years after that, I was at a house party in Long Beach, and it was just with a bunch of swim people, and in walks Chad Carvin. And we connected over this point, and I was like, dude, you don't, he probably didn't even remember. I was like, you don't understand how much that meant to me just to meet you and spend a couple of seconds with you and see that you weren't this like walking God, that you were someone that, has a name, has opinions, makes mistakes. And that's where I think a lot of the value of our clinics comes from. Like, we're able to come in and really connect with people and inspire them. And one of the messages that I try to give to everybody is this whole concept of why not me? You kind of poked at this earlier, Brent, is like a lot of people look at how many swimmers are out there and how few people actually get to go and swim on a world level. And it's one of those things where if people just had the ability to instill in themselves just a little bit of self-belief, we would all be so much better off. People in general, I find, are more likely to focus on the reasons why they're not going to be able to get something done because it's easier, it's safe. There's no real courage involved in that. But if you can start to change your mindset and start to think about how you might be able to get something done, not that you will be an amazing athlete one day, because that's illogical, right? But starting to think about like, well, why the heck couldn't I make the Olympic trials? Like, I'm pretty fast. I'm faster than most of the people I swim with. Why can't I just do that consecutively throughout my career and eventually become that Olympic trials athlete, that world-class athlete, that Olympian? So there's so much value outside of what we come in and actually teach. And I think that's what everybody's been getting at. So good, very good points, you guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, let me ask you some questions on things that you guys do outside of the water. Obviously, that's very relatable right now. Kierra, a lot of the times we talk about being mentally tough when it comes to swimming. What are some of the things you do outside of the pool to work on your mental toughness?
outside the pool to work on mental toughness, I don't do meditation, but I do yoga,
Okay.
which I feel like really forces you to stay present.
Hmm.
And I think that how that helps me is oftentimes if I'm swimming and something's not right, there can be so many different voices in your head. Like one will be like, hey, you're hungry, you should probably get out. Or hey, I think your shoulder hurts, you should get out. Or hey, you're not going to miss this interval. Why would you even do this set? Or just like there's waves coming from that lane. That's not perfect. And there's just like so many different ideas of why this set won't work and why you won't improve or why you won't be the best or why you won't go the best timer. And it snowballs. And so being able to like, just like touch the wall and take a second and reset and go, like being able to stop all those voices and collect them and bring them back to the like main idea that like, we're going to do this, let's go. And then everything's moving in the same direction. It's really, really difficult to do once that starts to break down. But if you can like bring yourself back to the present moment and just enjoy swimming and enjoy the set and enjoy working hard and listen to your coaches and just try to like take a deep breath and relax, then I mean, that's a really, really important skill to have with how many hours we spend in the water and how hard our training is. And
yeah. Is that what yoga does? Like
even
for those that haven't done yoga before, like what do you do in yoga that helps with that?
Beyond like the physical, like stretching and everything, which is, I guess, beneficial. It's just like being present on the mat and focusing on like your breathing in that moment. And you really like your mind, it wanders obviously, but a lot of times there's like reminders just to bring it back and to like focus on the present moment.
Okay, great. Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Brent?
Yeah. Actually, before the London Games, I was doing hot yoga once a week. So I totally know what Kierra's talking about, right? Like when you're in the pose, like your mind wants to wander. So you have this ability to try to like bring it back into the internal and focusing on yourself. And that's very similar to how you got to be when you're behind the blocks, right? Because you don't want to be thinking about, okay, got this competitor over here or that competitor over there. How cold is the water, or I don't like these blocks, or the people in the stand are distracting or anything like that, or right, like. So for me, like when I'm behind the blocks, and this is something I've kind of always done, I think yoga just kind of reinforced it. When I get behind the blocks, I just take deep breaths. One, getting a lot of oxygen into my blood. But also it just helps bring me back, like brings my focus back to me and what I need to do, because I can't control what other people are doing in their lanes. I'm not saying don't be aware of them. Like, I mean, when I was in Des Moines, like, of course I was aware that Caleb Dressel was right next to me. But I was still focusing on what I needed to do to swim fast in my lane. Now, when I was a kid, I was easily distracted. So this isn't something that I learned that just came naturally to me. In fact, like it was a lot of hard work. So when I was a kid, I was probably a nightmare to my coaches because I never knew what was going on. I actually have I don't want to say it's a hearing disability, but the way my brain processes my auditory system is it doesn't filter out a lot of the background noise. So when there's a lot of distractions in practice and the coach is saying what your workout is, a lot of times I couldn't remember, like it wouldn't go into my short-term memory because, in summer club swimming, you only had half the pool would be booked. So you got 3 lanes booked and the other 3 lanes are open to public. There's kids on ropes, there's music playing. The coach would say what the workout was and then look at me and go, Brent, do you know what we're doing? I was looking at her like, I don't know. I actually won the I don't know award at the end of the year for that. So my parents actually had to get me I guess you could say he was a psychologist, and he was like a child psychologist. I mean, he was a professor at Simon Fraser, and I would remember like sitting in his room. I'm like 11 or 12 years old, listening to these tapes and going through like meditations and figuring out how to focus my mind, and then I'd have this little cassette that he'd give me at the end of the session. I'd go home and go to bed. I'd plug the cassette in and I'd go to bed and I'd fall asleep listening to that. And from this kind of training, I just learned to, like, again, you can't focus on anybody else. You can't focus on other distractions. What are the things that you can control? Right. So it's that's your breathing, first and foremost. But then, like, think about, like, your dive, your streamline, your dolphin kicks off the wall, your breakout stroke. Those are all things you can control. Right. And if you just focus on swimming the fastest race that you can, and you touch the wall and that was everything that you could do in that moment, then you can accept whatever results come, right? So I always tried to race for the clock and not necessarily for the medal, because you can win a medal because somebody else had a bad race, right? But I like winning medals when everybody swims well.
Yeah.
Right. That's I always found that there was more value in that. So I don't think it's mental toughness per se. I think it's just an ability to focus on the things that you can control more than anything. Right.
Okay.
And I do want to say on one more point, like, about nerves, right? Because people don't like being nervous. And when I get nervous, like, I get nervous before just about every single race, and that's, elevated heart rate, butterflies in the stomach, my mouth goes dry, my hands and my feet go tingly or sometimes numb. Armpits get a little drippy, which might sound kind of gross. Other people might feel other things as well. But when you start actually feeling those things, then and sometimes this does take experience to be able to tell yourself that when you feel those things, then you know that you're actually primed to actually have a good race, because that's the adrenaline that's starting to go, it's the same biological response whether you're getting up on the blocks or running away from a bear, right? Yeah. It's designed to make you perform in order to do whatever it is, whether it's a performance or to save your life. So faster reaction time, more explosiveness, right? Because you're not going to be able to explode off the blocks if your body feels like it could just fall asleep on the couch, right?
Yeah.
Such a great point.
Yeah. Well, listen, as we wrap up here, I do want to finish with one last thing. It sounds like we're going to be doing some home workouts for at least a few more weeks. So what are some just simple pieces of equipment that maybe kids watching this right now could go and get if they just clear out their garage, give themselves some space to do a little workout? What are some simple pieces of equipment they could use to stay fit?
Kierra, you want to go first? I just did a long-winded talk, so I'll give you some time. I can go.
Okay,
just you let me know.
Kierra, do you jump rope?
No, I got it. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, jump rope's a good one. I'm gonna say one of those big, like the ball, not a medicine ball, a Bosu ball. Bosu ball. And you can look up a whole bunch of cool core exercises that you can do on those that are very swimming related. And it's kind of a fun piece of equipment to get to. So if you have space to get one of those and a Walmart that's open, I would for sure look into that.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Bosu ball, definitely. I like using resistance bands. Right. Like there's the standard stretch cords ones that like basically like I think most teams have, where you just like hook them on the wall and go through your swim poles. I just got a set of the Finis slide dryland trainers. Actually, I'll just show you guys because I'm sure most people never heard of them, but I did a set of these workouts with them the other day. I don't know if you guys can see it on my Instagram, or see if I press play here. We're going to play. Oh, there we go. Right, so I just hook them up to just on a chain link fence. You can hook them up like wherever. I was doing all kinds of stuff on these. Right, so I did some swim poles here too, which you'll see in a second.
Nice. So it's the Brent Hayden.
Yeah, the Brent Hayden.
Okay, the Brent Hayden.
Brent Hayden was already taken. Like I don't know
what
some guy,
some weirdo out there. Okay. All right, cool. So you got some dryland stuff that's going on there. That's nice.
Yeah. Hold on. I think I do the swimming stuff specific here. There we go. There's some swimming poles.
Some stretch cord stuff. Okay, good.
All right.
You could probably get those at swimoutlet.com. Maybe just order them online, something like that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have a code Hayden. Just use my last name Hayden. Gets 10% off. But I think they actually have, because of everything going on right now, I think they have another better deal right now. But like I also have like a small 10-pound medicine ball that I do. So I was doing like jumping thrusters with them, where you basically jump and throw the ball up as high you can, because obviously Caleb killed me on the blocks a few weeks ago, so I got to work on my explosiveness there. And there's tons of body weight exercises you can do. I'm going to post another video of me working out in the park either later today or tomorrow. I've gone busy with interviews lately, so I might not have time today, but yeah. And just as I'd say, just the most important thing though is that you just keep your body moving. Almost like it doesn't even matter what you're doing right now. Yeah. Just get your body moving, get off the couch, even if it's only for 10 minutes, right? Get the blood going, get your body temperature up, do a light stretch when you're done. Like, that's the most important thing.
It's a good idea. Let's finish with 10 squats here, everybody. Come on, 10 squats.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay.
2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Let us know in chat if you guys do 10 squats with us. Let us know in chat.
Yeah, I love the chat. It's working.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw someone in there was saying they had a bike that they could use. Like, honestly, like, yeah, if you got a bike, use it. You got a treadmill, use it. You got an elliptical, use it. Whatever equipment is going to get you off the couch and get you moving, use it. Right? Even if it's like a water jug on a piece of string. Like, who cares? Make up your own weights. Weights are just weights. It doesn't have to be from the fitness store.
Yeah, those are all great points. And I think you kind of get at it. Just be creative right now, folks. Like, maybe if you don't have access to some of the specific training gear that was talked about, like, there on Friday with Tyler McGill, he was talking about doing some kind of like jumps with a medicine ball. Like, you could use a jug of water, you could use your phone, like just something to take a place for it. Be creative right now. Brett, you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. And we've got a lot of great webinars coming up. I did have a question text into me as we were doing this. I actually did a clinic in the Bahamas, and the coach was saying that right now a lot of those kids are in school, so they can't watch the webinar live. Is this going to be put somewhere that people can later click on and watch this again?
Yeah, great question. So if you want to watch the replay or share it with your friends after this, we're going to make sure that the replay is going to be posted at fitterandfaster.com/webinars. And we'll definitely be following up with this to make sure that everybody knows about that. But, thank you for the tee up, Brett. Just to wrap up with that, obviously pay attention to our social media accounts. We're going to be announcing several more broadcasts over the next couple of weeks. And we encourage you to join us whenever a topic comes up that you're interested in. Lastly, Fitter and Faster has a really valuable product called Swim Videos on Demand. It's filled with hundreds of drills, and it's full of swimming information, along with explanations from some of our top clinicians, myself and Brett included. And I'm actually going to show something on your screen right now. And go ahead and click on that when you're ready to go over to our webpage and maybe check out Swim Videos on Demand. It's a great spot to learn during this time. Thank you very much to everybody who attended today. As always, stay safe, stay positive, keep a lookout for future events, and wash your hands. Goodbye now.
Bye, guys.
Ciao. See you. Bye.